Mhm.
Okay. You got that, Charles?
Yep.
Okay, I can get this off the screen. Okay, good. This account owner. 1 second, Charles. Okay, good. I accept. Got it. There we go.
Yeah.
Hey, Charles, how's it look on the screen? I apologize.
Hey man, you know what? I was told by a barbershop follower that we need to start using some really fancy words when we compliment guys. So I'm gonna tell you, you're looking handsome and stunning today, sir. That's what I'm going with. I'm gonna say you look fabulous. Okay. All right. Fabulous. All right. How about that?
Charles,
How about that?
Okay. I gotta run a couple things by you.
Yeah.
One, I made a commitment to you. I'm getting to bed by 10 p.m. I'm in bed by reading at 10 p.m.
Okay. 10 p.m.
That has been okay.
Right.
I'm not asleep. I kind of do what you do.
Yeah.
But if I read, Charles, I can get there.
Okay. I got you.
Okay. If I read, I can text you. Simple stuff. Number two, I've been doing intermittent fasting. I've dropped about 10 pounds.
Is that right?
I try not to eat after 7 or 8, Charles, until maybe till 8 a.m. It's a 12, 14-hour gig.
Okay.
It's a midnight snack grazing that, I'm like your college buddies. We're looking like, expanding our boundaries.
Okay. So I've got about 30 days of fasting coming up here in a couple of days, Doc. So,
really?
Oh, yeah.
Seriously?
Oh, yeah. So, fasting is coming up for me in a couple of days, and, it's not too bad. I'm not a big eater anyway. I'm not like, oh my gosh, if I don't eat, I can't wait to have that whatever. I just don't crave food. Yeah. Like, I mean, again, being pescatarian, right? Like you don't ever hear a guy, a vegetarian go, oh, I can't wait to eat those Brussels sprouts. Great.
Hey, I love it. Hey, Charles, I know. Hey, Charles, next week, we're taking Grandpa for his birthday.
Oh, is that right?
We're taking him, believe it or not, to Hawaii.
Oh, wow. Because nice.
Charles, I was supposed to go to the Netherlands last 2 years. I had $6,000 worth of credits.
Really?
So we used them.
Wow.
Take Grandpa and 2 of the kids to Hawaii. And then we used points. So we're going to go for 5 days. I'll be with you 2 weeks from today. Okay. Next Friday, I'm out. Just so you know.
Next Friday, you are what is it that they wear when they put on you when you get to Hawaii? I forgot the name of it.
Oh, a lei.
You'll be wearing your lei next Friday. And father-in-law is how old again, Doc? He's like, how old is he now? Going to be
90.
90.
Peter Chang survived 90 years. He survived the Korean War.
Is that right?
He migrated from the north to the south during the war.
Oh wow. Yeah, he was hey, get me out of here.
I mean, when you talk about that North Korea guy, Grandpa loses his shit. Pardon my language.
I'm sure. I'm very sure. I'm very sure of it, man.
He's not a friend. Yeah, he's not a fan of China. Oh my goodness.
No, not a fan of China either. He's just like, all of them just go to hell. All of you people, get out.
Leave Korea alone.
You know what I'm saying? I hear you. No, so that's really, really cool that you guys are going to go to Hawaii.
That's what
it's all right.
Hey, Charles, we asked, what do you want to do for your birthday?
Yeah.
Like, do you want to have a party? He goes, well, half my friends are dead.
He didn't ask for the strippers. Okay. He didn't ask for the strippers.
No. He said no. Okay. He's a Salvation Army minister.
Okay. Oh yeah. He's like, you know what? He could ask for the. He could get what the ladies of the church though. The ladies of the church could show up and play bingo with him. Yeah.
Charles, this cannot go public. I'll end up sleeping in the driveway. I'll be in the driveway on this one. Oh my God. We'll talk off the air. That is a truism. Wow.
Just blame me for it. Blame me for it. It was like, hey, he did that one. He did that all by himself. So that's good stuff. So listen.
Thanks, man.
Doc, again, thank you for joining me this morning, guys. All of our Patreon followers out there. Thank you for being a Patreon supporter. Hey, look, help us get some more supporters. We need supporters. And I know a lot of people feel uncomfortable asking for money. I'm learning to ask for the money first. Okay. So make sure
that's better.
Just
do
get
it
on out there. Do it up front. Go to www.patreon.com/the Barbershop Group. And you can become a supporter there. Okay. Doesn't cost a lot at all. If you would like to get Dr. Poulter's book, The Shame Factor, you can, raise the bar a little bit and get this book in your hands. You'll also be able to, if you become a supporter, get your hands on this doozy right here, Father Your Son. And that's what we're going to be talking about for, wow. I mean, we'll be in this book for quite some time. We'll do a similar thing that we did with the Shame Factor. But if you become a Patreon supporter, you basically get this book as a part of your membership. So go ahead and do that, right? For you all who are not Patreon supporters, then you will be missing out on a lot of the outtakes and some of the personal things that we share when we're talking, like you'll miss those things. So there's a benefit to becoming a supporter. You get some of the inside stuff, right? So Doc, before we start talking about Father Your Son today, now I told you, because you asked me some questions. Obviously, we know that this week there was something that you made me aware of with I'm sitting here getting ready to go to sleep, and you're like, dude, we're watching Oscars. Will Smith just hit Chris Rock. And I'm like, what? Wait, huh? One eye on my phone, like, what? And so, okay, we know what has transpired since. And a lot of people have asked me, hey, are you guys going to put anything out publicly for the Barbershop group? No, we're not. However, if you're a Patreon supporter, you do get to hear just a little bit of what I have to say regarding this, because I'm going to link it to the book that we're talking about today. Okay. Yes. Father Your Son.
I want to jump in. I saw that and I immediately reached out to you.
Yes. Yeah. I know you did. It was like instantaneous. And I was just like, oh gosh, oh, come on. So go with that. A lot of people have asked me, hey, why don't you guys say anything about it? Well, number one, as the owner and CEO of the Barbershop group, I can tell you guys, and as a personal perspective, I don't believe that we have to be having knee-jerk reactions to things that happen in the public, out there in the news and current affairs. We don't have to respond to everything like that. It may be juicy for some of you guys, but is this juicy? That stuff is going to dry up. Okay.
Yeah. It's not substantial.
It's not substantial. Right. And so I was like, no, we're not going to talk about it publicly. Okay. So, the people who are just listening on, Spotify audio, all of the podcast audio and stuff like that, they won't have access to what it is that I have to say regarding this. And that's on purpose. Okay. I am, and some of my people know this, I'm a bit of a conservative. I'm not necessarily a political conservative, but as I've gotten older, as most people tend to, I've grown a little bit more conservative in the way that I view certain things that go on in the world. Okay.
Certain values,
yeah,
behaviors,
like, hey, yes,
how we operate,
absolutely.
Okay.
So here's the first thing that I'm going to say about this, and that is, obviously, Will Smith should not have done what he did. Oh, better yet, I don't even want to use the word should and stuff like that. No.
Yeah.
Will Smith committed a crime. Okay. Now it's a misdemeanor. It's not like he murdered someone, but he did commit a crime, and he committed the crime on national TV, and it's been recorded for people to see, and there hasn't been any consequence for that. Okay. And it's unfortunate because there are a lot of us out here who, if we commit a crime in public, and even if it's a misdemeanor, we have had people killed for committing misdemeanors. We've had people killed. Yes. We've had people killed by police and by other than police for committing misdemeanors. Okay. So let's just really, take a look at this for a minute. All right.
Yeah. Let's take a deep breath.
And the other reason
Charles,
why,
keep going.
The other reason I didn't want to talk about this is because we're talking about celebrities, and celebrities are working with the type of financial wherewithal that we don't have. Yeah. You see Charles, what I'm saying?
It's a whole nother stratosphere.
Yes, absolutely. And so it was disheartening to me to see so many people down at the bottom, common folks, wrapped up in what it is that they saw and giving their opinions and all of that stuff. And I'm just like, dude, stop. Here's something that I want to call attention to. And that is this. Without knowing all of their story, without sitting down and talking to people like Will and Jada and whatnot, I've heard enough to know that they've had a tumultuous set of circumstances that they've had to address in their lives, both together and apart, before they met each other and with each other. And I think that, unfortunately, when you're on the outside looking in, you can't really gauge where they are with regard to their experiences and their interaction with each other and other people. You don't have any of that information. Okay. When I see things like this happen, there's one word that comes to mind, and I'll say it over and over again, and that is therapy, 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 therapy. You guys get the point, okay?
Charles, tell them why.
Well,
tell us why.
Yes. So here's the reason why. Whenever we see actions like that occur, okay, 9 times out of 10, we're probably looking at someone who has not had an opportunity to address long-standing resentments, hurts, triggers, traumas, things in the past, difficulties. There's a whole lot of other emotion that's behind what you saw occur there. Okay. People say, well, a person reached their boiling point. Well, the objective of therapy is to help somebody keep from getting to the boiling point. Okay. So if you felt like you saw someone reach their boiling point, that person being Will Smith, then therapy comes in as a buffer. It turns the flame down so that the pot doesn't boil over. Okay.
It takes the lid off it, Charles.
Yes,
it takes the lid off.
There you go. And so that's why I say therapy, therapy, therapy. And then the other thing that I'll say, Doc, with regard to our viewers, listeners, you know, those of them who are Patreon supporters, right? Again, thank you very much, because the other people won't hear this, is when I see things like this happen, I immediately turn to the person who's talking about it, and I want them to focus on their own lives. Okay.
Right on.
Yeah.
Why are they triggered? Why are they triggered, Charles?
Why are you triggered by this? Why are you so concerned about this when it didn't impact any of your family members? It didn't come to your address. It's not anywhere in your orbit. And I have a philosophy that we should be concerned with our neighbors, our 40 neighbors. Now, there's a catch to this. What do I mean by 40 neighbors? Okay. There's an old Islamic kind of principle. Your 40 neighbors aren't just to your right or to your left. It's 40 houses to your left, 40 houses to your right, 40 houses in front of you, 40 houses in back of you. And you start with the people nearest to you, and that's inside of your home. And then you branch out. Okay. That's the concern. That's the way my value system works today.
Yes.
Okay. And a lot of people, they jump on somebody else's life so quickly when they see something happen, and it becomes another distraction, another tactic, another set of barriers that keeps individuals from looking at themselves.
Charles, it's deflection.
It's deflection. That's right.
It's just however you get there. They call it the 3 Ds.
Yes.
Denial, deflection, and last one, distraction.
Absolutely.
You just called it.
Absolutely.
You just called it.
You know, I saw so many people talking about how, you know, they felt like Will Smith was right. And a lot of these people were women. A lot of them were minorities, Black women and other than them, but minorities. Okay. And I realized that they were excited to see what they felt like was somebody standing up for a loved one, you know, but I, again, have to caution, he broke the law. Okay. Committed a crime. And the thing that is concerning to me is, number one, he committed a crime against another man who he shares the same ethnic origin with. So let's talk about that, right? But there's also this thing of, well, if Chris Rock had been a woman telling a joke about Jada, would Will Smith have gotten up there and slapped her? We doubt it. If he did, then we wouldn't be talking about the people supporting Will Smith. What a lot of people are doing or have done is, as you said, the word trauma and trigger, they've allowed their own pasts to interpret how they view what it is that they saw. You know, when you come from an environment where you feel like people haven't stood up for you, when you come from an environment where you were left to your own devices and defenses, and you've had to be the one to have your own back all the time, and you just felt like you had to have somebody there, then when you see a situation like that played out at the Oscars, you feel good about it sometimes because you feel like somebody's validating you. But in reality, what that is really doing is it's highlighting, hey, guess what? Maybe you need to go see a therapy for reparenting. Maybe you need to take a look at codependency and how it plays out in your life. Maybe if you're a man, you need to take a look at the relationship that you had with your father and or your son. If you are a woman, maybe you need to take a look at the relationship that you had to your mother and or daughter. Okay. Because what happens is when we grow up in a healthy environment, right, we start out with people who protect us, and then they show us how to protect our own selves. That's what happens in a healthy environment. In an unhealthy, in a safe environment. Yes. Yes.
Right there.
Okay. In a safe environment, we learn how to develop and protect our own selves. But a lot of people haven't necessarily grown up in that type of environment. And this particular issue, we need to be able to highlight it going, hey, wait, turn that mirror around. Let's not look at Will and Jada. Let's look at this type of upbringing. Let's look at you and why you think that this is okay. Okay. Because it's not okay. All right. The other thing that I think is unfortunate is that we also are looking at a situation that is a bit skewed when it comes to gender. Okay. We have Jada Pinkett, who admitted on air that she had an extramarital affair with a young man. Okay. And everybody who was defending Will, they're like, hey, we're defending Will because he defended Jada. And I'm like, well, let's turn the table around. Let's say that this were a man who openly admitted having an affair with a woman. Okay, would you all expect for that woman to be defending her man? You see?
Yep. There's crickets.
Yeah, it'd be crickets after that, man. They call that woman crazy for doing that. Okay. So this is where I tell people all the time, when we've been triggered by something, we view everything through the lenses of said triggers. We put on those shades and we don't know how to take them off.
Charles, this week in my office, the people who got the hottest had exactly what you described.
Yeah.
Unresolved. Their trauma was up on national TV.
Up on national TV. There you go. There you go, man.
It was up on the screen.
So that's what I have to say about that.
And Charles, by the way, that's clean. That's clean.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's why
that's clean. Keep it at home.
Right. And that's the other reason why, I didn't go public with anything, because I knew that going public would not get, people are so up here with everything right now that my voice coming in, the Barbershop group offering anything, is going to be down here, and it doesn't even resonate because people are so triggered by everything now. That's something that comes along that's just even keel. They don't know what to do with it. It doesn't excite
them. Charles, the Dodgers extended this contract of this gentleman for the last 4 years. And for one reason only. So he has insurance.
That's right. Yes.
And Mr. Friedman and the whole group said, he needs to get healthy, and then we'll talk about baseball.
Isn't that something that they, and
now he got in trouble. He got arrested. But then he realized he had a bipolar or something like that.
Right. And it's a good thing you mentioned him, but what is his name again? What's his name?
God, I want to say Tolles. Last name's Tolles.
Andrew Tolles. Andrew Tolles. That's it.
Right.
Andrew Tolles. So we need to talk about Andrew Tolles for a hot second, okay? Andrew Tolles.
This is all related. This is all the same.
You're right. Andrew, because we're going to show you what happens with misdemeanors, mental health, and all this stuff and how it ties in, okay? And fathers, by the way, because an interesting thing happened with his father as well. So Andrew Tolles, former LA baseball player. We're in 2022. I think the last time he played was
17.
Yes,
17.
It was
5 years.
It was 5 years, but he was actually supposed to be in camp as late as 2019.
Right.
Okay.
Before the shutdown.
That's right. So, as the pandemic starts to hit, this young man, he's not old. You're going to see some pictures online of him that make him look old. Okay.
But he's not.
Yeah, he's not old. He's 29 years old. They find him in Key West behind an airport, sleeping. And it's a misdemeanor, by the way. Heard that word before. Now watch this. He's sleeping behind the airport. They charge him with trespassing and something else. They arrest him. It's a misdemeanor. Okay. He got arrested for a misdemeanor. I keep mentioning that because who didn't get arrested for a misdemeanor this year? This week? Who didn't get arrested?
Charles, as Kareem said, a bunch of multimillionaires.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Okay,
good. So this young man got arrested, okay, and thankfully the Dodgers got wind of it. They contacted his family. They contacted his father, okay?
Yes.
And his father, himself, and the Dodgers were able to work out a deal to get this man put back on the payroll so that he could pay for his mental health services,
treatment.
But they aren't just paying for his treatment. They said, hey, we're going to help get you on your feet.
feet.
Wow. Come
Charles,
on, man.
That's as good as it gets.
It is. It is.
That's as good as it gets.
You're right. You're right. You're right about that. So we're talking about fathers, okay? Again, Doc, go ahead and hold up that book one more time so everybody can see it. Hold that book up one more time.
You guys, come on, let's do it.
Father your son. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about father your son. How to become the father you've always wanted to be. Again, you become a Patreon supporter, you can get that book sent to you. Okay,
Charles. And by the way, this does not exclude daughters.
No.
Okay. No. But we've got to get dads to identify with the same-sex child.
Absolutely.
We've got to start at home.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And I want the women listening, the mamas, and the daughters and the wives. This is not exclusive. This is inclusive.
Right. That's right.
If dad's taking care of his son, the daughter, that's a win-win for her.
Well, it's an interesting thing, and we're going to talk about some of the scenarios in this book where there are a lot of dads who are doing a great job of taking care of their daughters, but weren't doing so great of a job taking care of their sons. So, guys, the first person we're going to talk about is Dave. Doc, you mentioned Dave, 55-year-old individual, okay, and the names have been kind of changed and stuff for privacy and all that.
They really have,
guys, okay,
and these are real people.
They're real people, okay.
They're not fictitious.
No. But we did keep some anonymity there. So Dave is 55, and Dave said that he did not really realize the impact that his relationship would have on him in his adult life, right? He said, I still occasionally think about my dad and I wonder how things could have been better. No relationship has a more lasting effect than the one that I had with my dad. Okay. And he didn't have a great relationship with his dad.
Dave spent 50 years hating his dad.
50 years hating his dad. We're not talking about a 25-year-old. We're talking about a 50. And I want to highlight that because, there are a lot of people out there, Doc, who they've distanced themselves from their family members. They've distanced themselves from their mothers or fathers, and they're young folks. And they think that they're just going to be okay. Like, I created this boundary. I don't have anything to do with mom, because mom was this or she was that, or dad was this.
Or dad, X and Y.
But I'm like, but guess what? That's not therapy, and that's not therapeutic.
Charles, that's called emotional cutoff. And we realize amputations are not therapeutic.
Right.
Amputating doesn't work.
It doesn't work. No, it does not
Charles,
work.
This gentleman said that last sentence. I spent 50 years hating my dad.
Right. Yeah.
And I go, what age did it start? Age 5.
Age 5. Yeah.
And Charles, and he has struggled with drugs and alcohol like severely. Severely.
That's something, man.
And Charles, I want to say something else. I did an interview. The New York Times did this research. 93% of all sons want to do a better job fathering than their dads did.
Okay.
They said 93% of men.
93% of men.
Let's be gracious and say 90. Let's say 90 for the sake of numbers. Okay. 10% go, I want to match what my dad did. Yeah. We're talking to the 90% who had a struggles, trauma. And Charles, one of the things about the power of fathers is what strikes me rereading this. I know I wrote this when my son was younger. Now, it's more powerful to me today that he's in his mid-20s.
Right. Yeah.
He needs me differently than he did at age 5.
Right. Of course.
And since I wrote this book, my father passed away. And let me tell you something. That rocked my world.
Yes. Yeah. I hear you on
so
that.
Let's just keep going. I'll let you.
So let you stated, Doc. Okay.
Yes.
When we talk about there's no relationship, like Dave said, there's no relationship that had more of a lasting effect than the one with his father. Now you say, hey, look, if you doubt the statement, try an experiment. And you said it yourself. Your father passed away. You said, if your father has already died, recall how you felt when you first heard the news of him dying and following up, and then a few weeks afterward. Okay. And then if your father is alive, put yourself in that role-playing position where, think about how you would feel getting that phone call that your father has passed away. And I tell you, my father is alive. And I imagine all the time, just that phone call, because I know one day it may very well come if I am living, and ooh, man, that's just
Charles.
That's a lot.
Let me tell you, when I wrote that,
yeah,
it's one thing to imagine it, but when you experience it, it
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like skydiving, and you're not watching, you're jumping out of the plane.
Yeah. Yeah.
Something changes in men. And by the way, I got guys say, well, I don't believe it. Is your dad alive? Yeah. Call me after his funeral.
Man.
And Charles, that's Robert Bly, all the men's movement. They say when your father passes, your life changes. It's a fork in the road. It's a fork in your road.
Yeah. You know what? I tell you what, I remember when my granddad passed away, right? And we're at the funeral. My dad was standing outside of so you got the lobby area of the church, right? The vestibule area. And my dad was looking through the small church windows.
Yeah. In the foyer.
He's in the foyer. Everybody else is sitting down, right? My dad is looking through and it's a warmer day, because I want to. This was like April or something, somewhere like that. I mean, and this was in the Midwest. This was in the Midwest.
Oh, okay.
But it was a hot day. And I remember I'm looking at my mom, and I'm like, "Where's Dad?" And she's like pointing over her shoulder, and I look back, I can see his little head through the window, and I just keep waiting for him to come down to sit with us or to go see his father there. He doesn't do it. And so I said, okay. I told Mom, I walked over to her, sat down. I said, hey, I'm gonna try to get Dad to come in and pay his respects, And she said, yeah, see if he can get in. And he said, here, he had these towels, She was like, go wet this towel for him, make it cool for him, And I did that. I went out there and I said, hey, Dad, I said, listen, I'm not asking you to do it, but if you need somebody to go up there with you, I'll go,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel it. Oh,
yeah.
That's a surreal moment.
Oh, yeah.
I'll walk with you symbolically.
And he stood there for a minute. And he always had these Rams hats, man. It didn't matter where he was. He had a Rams hat on. He could have had on a suit. He was going to wear a Rams hat that day. Okay. And
God love him.
He took his hat off for a minute, slapped it on his leg. And he was like, shoot, man, gosh. And he said a curse word and he looked up. He said, oh, God, I'm sorry, man. And I said, well, Dad, how about I'm going to just go sit down over here and I'll wait for when you're ready. And he grabbed me and he said, hey, Charlie, he said, thank you, man. He said, you all right, man? I said, yeah, you are too. And I said, wow, you want to go down there? He said, come on. I said, I got a cold towel for you. Want to put that on your neck? He said, yeah, give me that. And I said, we'll go slow. And I said, if you feel like you need to turn around and come back, just tap me on my arm. And he said, okay, I got you. And, we walked down there slow, and it was a lot of pressure because, you got the pews are filled with people on both sides. And obviously everybody knows who I am in relation to him. And they just look.
Everybody knows everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody knows it. Yeah. Oh, yeah. This is family gathering.
And we get down to my granddad, and people were standing there. It was like they moved out the way. And my mom is looking at me like, oh my God, you did it. You got him to come down here. And I'm just like, hey man, like, just don't look at him right now. Don't look at him. I don't even want you to see your husband like this right now. So we make it down there. And, my dad was just standing there, froze. And he was trying to talk.
Wow. He got flooded. It all came up, Charles.
Yeah.
It all came up.
He couldn't talk.
Charles.
Yeah.
That's why we started chapter 1 off of that.
Right.
We got to cut through that wall.
Yeah.
I've got guys. I don't like my dad.
Yeah.
That scene, Charles, is in your. That's it. Your dad couldn't talk.
He couldn't talk. And let me tell you what happened.
Yeah.
So I started offering a prayer for my granddad right there. Mm-hmm. And my dad said, thank you, man. And he looked, tried to talk to him again. He couldn't talk. And then all of a sudden, I felt him bump my shoulder. He was to my right. And I looked and he started to swoon, Doc. And I said, oh crap, I got to catch him. And one of my cousins ran up and got the other side of him, and we caught him, because my dad's 6'4", man, 230, something like that, 240.
Yeah, he's a linebacker. He
he a little bigger.
Yeah.
And we put his hands on the casket, and he's told, okay, just stand, lean over and breathe. And he finally said something. He said, and I'm holding back the tears this whole time.
Yeah, I know you are, Charles. You're there.
He said, I lost my best friend. You see? Yeah. Yep. He said, I lost my best friend.
You don't see that coming.
And I was just like, man. And so I tell that story because I want to really, really highlight, for these guys out here who they got their fathers or their fathers are gone, when we ask you guys to think about this, really think about it. And we know that it's role right now for some of you all whose fathers are still alive, and as Doc said, there's no real rehearsal for experiencing it. Okay. My dad he took care of my grandfather as he was getting sicker, and he would know that death was coming, but there's nothing that could prepare my dad for what would come out of him and what that experience would actually be.
Charles, I can't say that enough.
Yeah.
That is the blind spot we have.
Right.
And Charles, when that light goes on, it's fainted.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how powerful. And your dad's not one to be a weeping willow.
No, never been. Never ever. Ever been.
No. But Charles, keep going, man. It is powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's standing there and you're watching this.
Mm-hmm. And that's when I saw, like, man, the relationship that they had, the way that my father viewed his dad was the way that there could only be God left for my father to have a high view of. There could be no other man on the face of the planet. You couldn't introduce my dad, to anybody who would impress him more
than his
father. You see what I'm saying? And I'm gonna tell you something else that I learned as a result of that. It's a two-sided coin. For a lot of men who have great fathers in their lives, you cannot introduce that man to anybody else who will be greater than their father. And to the men who have had bad fathers in their lives, you cannot introduce that man to anybody worse than the bad father who he had or did not have in his life.
Correct. That is correct.
Yes. Okay.
Hey, Charles, that's the spectrum. That's the yardstick. Okay.
Right.
And Charles, so many men get stuck at that other end. There's no man worse than my father. And I go, only you can forgive him.
That's right.
And Charles, it doesn't matter what spiritual orientation or atheist, or what, it doesn't matter. No one argues about the power of forgiving.
That's right. Yeah.
And you saw your dad that day, my best friend. Wow.
Yeah. That's
right.
A gift. Absolutely. So let's talk about Rick for a minute. Okay. Rick was an individual. Rick was married to a woman, had a child, and thought he was a pretty good father. And Rick and his wife got a divorce, and the woman didn't push him out of the child's life. He didn't do that. She didn't do that. She got remarried, and Rick began to feel like he didn't really have a place in his son's life. And so when Rick was given the opportunity to take a job in another place, he jumped on the first thing going. Okay. He jumped on the first thing going. Whereas before, his relationship with his son was really not bad. The son didn't have an unfavorable view of his father. No. After Rick left, then the son kind of goes, well, wait a minute. I thought we were working on it. Like, you were here. Like, you were present.
Charles, I just throw this in. Being a father has nothing to do with your marital status.
Right.
You can be married for 10 years, but you're a father for life.
That's right.
Guys.
Yeah.
And that's why Rick's story is in the book, chapter 1.
Yeah.
Because Rick never dealt with his father. And when his son got older, he vacated the house.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
The emotional house. And it has nothing to do with mama got remarried.
Right.
And mom married a good stepdad. Excuse me, a good husband.
Yes.
But Charles, what happened to Rick's son when he became a teenager?
So it's very interesting. Yeah. It's very interesting with regard to Rick's son as he gets older, right? So, he develops struggles of his own. Okay. He develops struggles on his own as a result of not having the attachment to his father. Of course, he's going to respect the stepfather and all of that, but he's still trying to make sense of, hey, Dad, how come we really not connected? And I thought it was interesting that when Rick's son gets older, he has trouble in his own family.
Right.
You see,
he has problems connecting. And Charles, Rick's, it's not that he died. Okay, we're not talking about, that's a different story. Okay.
Right.
That impacts sons differently. Okay.
Right. That's right.
That's different.
Yeah.
But the stepdad helped the son stay on track. But remember, the first man you ever loved, Charles, was your father.
Is your father. That's right. Is your father.
And
no doubt.
And when your dad leaves, absent fathers, Charles, have one thing in common: angry sons.
Angry sons. You're right about that. Angry
Charles,
sons. Very, very angry sons. Oh my gosh.
Charles, that's how I got into this.
Yeah.
I could never, it was stunning to me. The rage, the boys like Rick's son.
Yeah.
Carrie. They're lovely. He gets married, but that guy maybe wearing a suit. Charles, he's got as much rage as the guy down, sitting on the street corner at 2 a.m.
Right.
His is more camouflage.
That's right.
It comes out. It just comes out, man.
Yeah, I totally agree. So
it's camouflage.
We wanted to introduce you guys by talking first about the power of fathers, so you can understand, and sharing my father's story and talking about Dave and talking about Rick. Dave's 55 and figuring out or 50 and figuring out, whoa, man, I needed to change up how I interacted with my father or my perception of my father, right? And then you've got Rick, who had a lot of stinking thinking. That's what I call it. He had a lot of stinking thinking going on. He had a lot of ego stuff, a lot of pride that actually caused the relationship with his son to implode. Nobody but Rick was telling Rick a bad story. He was in control of that narrative.
Mama wanted Rick involved.
Right.
Mama didn't want a divorce. Rick left marriage too, emotionally.
Right. That's right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was too much. And Charles, again, I say to men, relationships matter.
Yeah.
And I get guys that say, well, my dad was, X, Y, and Z, but he's inside you.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the other thing I have to remind people about, Doc. I'm glad you said that, because a lot of people speak about their parents. A lot of people speak about their parents as if their parents are out there, over there, right?
In the Grand Canyon.
Okay.
And the Grand Canyon.
I love what Thich Nhat Hanh did one time. He was giving a talk, and he's talking about connectedness. And he says, pull your hands out and look at your hands. Okay. And when you look at your hands are not just your hands. Your hands are your father's hands. Okay. Your parents' hands are in your hands. And your grandparents' hands are in your hands, and your great-grandparents' hands are in your hands. And so when you're looking at your hands, you're not just looking at your hands, you're also looking at the hands of all of your ancestors. You're looking at the DNA, you're looking at their experiences, you're looking at their perspectives. All of the things that they did are in your hands too.
Charles? Transgenerational men.
Yes.
Transgenerational. And Charles, embracing intimacy, guys say, I want to be a real man.
Right. Yeah. But we're going to get there. Don't jump. But I want to tell you guys, listen, again.
That legacy is in you.
We're going to talk about that, okay? If you all are Patreon followers, thank you very much for being Patreon followers. We shout out all of you all who support us.
Yep.
For those of you who don't, go to www.patreon.com/the Barbershop group. Become a subscriber, okay? You can get a copy of Father Your Son if you become a subscriber there, okay? You want to make sure that you're following us on tvgmen.com. I know that you're following us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all those wonderful places.
Yep.
And we appreciate the support. The biggest support that you can lend to us is to like the show, okay?
Yes.
Share the show, support the show financially. Those are the three things. Like the show, share the show, okay? And when I say like, rate the show, give it a great rating, okay?
Yeah.
Share the show. share it with 10 people, and become a financial supporter. Okay, guys, next time that we continue talking about the father-son relationship, we're going to talk about the absent or abusive father. So until next time, guys, be well. We'll talk to you soon.
Take care, gentlemen and ladies.
All right, guys. So,
Charles,
I
got to tell you, both those people are alive and well. I still know them.
I hear you.
And can I tell you something?
Yeah.
Dave's had a rough go.
I'm sure, man.
Because Dave's son now is older.
Oh, really?
And what Dave did, and we'll talk about this next, Charles, Dave went from hating his dad to giving his son no boundaries.
I see it. Yeah,
you know where that goes.
Yep. Oh, man. I hear you. Yeah, that's trippy.
And Rick's son has had a hard time.
Okay.
And my job with Rick has been, you need to ask for forgiveness.
Yeah.
And I always tell him that it's never too early to start.
Right.
It's never too early.
It's right.
Never
too early.
Never too early.
Never too early. Yeah. Yep. I hear you. I hear you.
I don't care how old he is. I don't care how old the son is.
Yeah.
And lastly, Charles, Rick says to me, well, his mom hates me. Okay, make peace with her too.
Right.
Just make peace with her.
That's right.
Own it.
Yeah.
You're a putz. You're a jerk. Just okay. You're right, honey. That was on me.
Yeah. I'm with you on that. At some point, you just have to just make a decision for the sake of the relationship. What you gonna do? You know what I'm saying? What are you gonna do? You have got to make a decision, man. A lot of people don't want to make the decision. They want to make that decision. I know some people out there right now who they are 50 years old and they have told themselves a
narrative,
a set of lies. See, everybody likes to say narrative, a set of lies. Okay,
Charles,
about their fathers. Okay. And they've tried to get everybody else to believe those things about their father when they simply could have made a decision to help repair the relationship. They could have spent all that energy in repairing the relationship, but instead took all that energy and spent their entire life trying to get everybody else to buy into the lies about their dad.
Charles, right on. We saw a movie came out this month, March of 22, called The Adam Project.
Okay.
It's about time travel. There's a 12-year-old, the 35-year-old, and the father. The 12-year-old, the 32-year-old, Ryan Reynolds is telling the young boy how selfish and how mean the father was.
Got it.
The 12-year-old says, that's not true. He played catch with it. He goes, you're angry because you don't want to feel sadness.
Yeah.
Charles, I don't know who wrote that movie, but that was from the heart.
Yeah, that's deep.
That 12-year-old
so angry. Wow.
You're angry because you don't want to feel dad's loss because dad dies.
Yeah.
And Ryan Reynolds is this angry guy in his mid-30s.
Wow.
And the 12-year-old is telling, no, dad was great.
Yeah.
He bought me a pitchback because I wanted one, not because he wouldn't throw the ball with me.
Got it.
And Ryan Reynolds just looked at him. It's a cute scene because the 12-year-old reaches for the beer. He goes, oh, no, you're not getting that. Yeah. But he said to him, Charles, it's easier to be angry than feel sad.
Right.
And Charles,
to be angry.
That's the lie. The lies are to cover up the sadness.
Yeah. Man, that's something. That's heavy. Yeah.
Okay, that's Father Your Son. That's chapter 1.
Right. I hear you. Good grief. So that's something. So, we're going to continue, guys. We're going to jump back in and talk about the absent or abusive father. I am here with Dr. Poulter, the author of The Shame Factor. He is also the author of Father Your Son, How to Become the Father You've Always Wanted to Be. If you all are, first off, thank you, Patreon supporters, for again contributing. Okay. Please help us get more support. We need it. All right.
Absolutely.
They can get a copy of this book by becoming a supporter, or they could opt to get The Shame Factor. And I know some of you guys out there have The Shame Factor book. It's a very, very good book to have in your collection as well. So, Doc, we are talking about the absent or abusive father. And you mentioned, you say typically, physically absent fathers are divorced from the child's mom, but some of them aren't just, it's not about divorcing the child's mother. It's also about like workaholics or people who are on the road a lot and stuff like that, right? Because a lot of people, they'll say, oh, I'm present. We pay so much attention to single parent homes where the custodial parent is the mother and kind of what the breakdown of the family looks like there. We don't really look at the home where mother and father are there, but father's really aloof in some way.
Charles, that 1950s model is still here today.
Okay.
I've got a lot of guys, they say they're involved, Charles, they have no idea how to set up a play date, a dentist appointment.
Yeah.
There's token participation, and then there's involvement.
Right.
We're talking involvement.
Yes.
And involvement doesn't mean you go to every play, but there's an emotional presence. And Charles, that is tough because you got to deal with your own father within.
Right.
And your own sadness.
Yeah.
Charles, we're talking about that 92%, myself included.
Yeah.
We're talking about that 92%. I love the other 10, 8, 10. God bless you guys. I genuinely help us get there.
So it's interesting because, you talked about making the dentist appointment and stuff like that. You and I have spoken before, and I say a lot of guys don't know the name of their children's doctor. They don't know the name of the teachers at the school. They don't know the size shoe. The shoe size of the child and things like that, right? And again, this isn't to beat fathers down out there, but it's to show you, hey, there's a better way of relating to your child. And I think what happens is, and I know this is true, okay, for a lot of guys out there default to the mom. Okay. A lot of husbands default to the wife. They will default, like the wife shows a particular nurturing acumen in the home, a certain domestic ability in the home. And so guys just kind of slide, they do the Bart Simpson, that curtain, they slide behind the curtain. They just fall back. Right. You see what I'm saying? But that's not okay, because guess who's watching you do that?
A and B,
your children,
mom and children.
The children watch.
Charles,
the children watching
Charles,
you do that.
The reason why I wrote the shame factor after all this, I had so many men say to me, but I feel so bad about what I've done. Because shame paralyzes men and women too, no argument. But as a father, you've got to address your shame factor to get to the father.
Right.
You got to get there. That's how you get there.
Yeah.
And Charles,
absolutely.
one thing I say to dads here, regardless of age, I don't care if your son's 28 or 8, he still needs your presence.
Right.
And that is what we're going to keep talking about, Charles.
Yeah. So let's talk about this thing. You said, a lot of, like I said, they slide out, they go behind the curtain. You mentioned it. You said many become defeated if they've been separated from their child, right?
Yes.
And I talked about them sliding behind the curtain. We kind of drift away, and we basically, as fathers, we give away our own power.
Charles, right? Okay, and next week we're going to talk about Robert Sears, what he did, the research.
Okay.
It still blows. And Charles, no one's been able to dispute his findings.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about that next time.
I see. Okay.
Charles, that research is 70 years old, and everyone's taking a shot at it. That's not true.
Yeah.
Those kids are now older than me, and it still holds water.
Okay. Nice.
That he interviewed in the 50s and early 60s.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, we definitely have to talk about that. Doc, let me ask you a question about you making the statement about fathers being emotionally absent, because that's something that we didn't hear a lot about earlier on. We hear about it now. And I just want to say to you guys, I want to give Dr. Poulter his props. So many people out there are using the words toxic masculinity. Okay. But this book right here does a whole lot more to address this quote unquote toxic masculinity thing than the words toxic masculinity. So those are just buzzwords. You want to get into the real deal. And here's what's important. It's great to have women out there who are talking about toxic masculinity, but it's always so much better. And it goes a whole lot further when you've got men who are able to help other men see things for themselves and are not using this accusatory tone. And that's what is great about Dr. Poulter's book. So Doc, thank you. Again,
thank you, Charles.
Emotionally absent fathers. Okay. You talk about fathers being cold and distant, they don't go to a deeper level. I love the fact that you kind of like hit on something about, it's great that you go throw the football around with your son, but there's more to it than that.
There is. And I tell dads, I don't know how to do it. Start there. Okay. That's a great start, but don't stop.
Okay. So that, yes, don't stop throwing the football with your kid. You're not saying that. Yeah.
Yeah. No, keep going. And Charles, let me tell you, it's better to be inquisitive than judgmental.
Yeah.
Toxic masculinity is judgmental.
Right.
I'm like, come on, guys, let's ask ourselves some good questions. And we're the grassroots. We're the guys going to change this game.
Right.
Men are.
Yes. Yeah.
That's what's going on. And Charles, I've got to go. And Charles, we're going to pick this up.
That's right. That's right.
The depth of involvement.
We're going to talk about the depth of involvement. You know, guys, you know, it's really important to just kind of sit with this and let it marinate, you know, quite a bit. And I do want to mention too, before Doc leaves, in addition to being emotionally distant, the physically abusive father is also emotionally distant too. Okay. That's another thing.
That's a good call.
Yeah. That's another thing. And I want to mention one of the ways that fathers can be emotionally abusive really quick. And that is that, when one of our sons is going through something emotionally, we redirect him away from his feelings.
Okay, Charles, that statement right there, Charles, is profound. That is nuclear abuse.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because the half-life's 7 years later.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
You see the fallout from that.
You see the fallout. Yeah, absolutely.
Why is my son blowing up now? I always go, let's go back. Let's go back to the ticker taker.
Yeah.
Charles, redirection means you don't matter.
You don't matter. That's right. Absolutely.
We're not talking redirection for anxiety. We're talking redirection because I don't know what to do with this.
Right. Yep. There you go. That's it.
That's okay to say that.
Yeah. Right.
I tell because I don't know what to say. That's great.
Right. Yeah.
You don't have
like I said, I just wanted to throw that one out there for you guys today. Listen, again, thank you for watching and listening to us at the Barbershop Group. Patreon supporters, man, shout out to you guys. Okay. Spotify listeners, everybody, share this with your people. Come back for more. Next week, we'll be back. Like I said, we're going to continue talking. We're going to talk about the depth of involvement for fathers. As I always say, guys, listen, remember to do 2-3 things. Look, love you more, love your people more, be well. There you go. And we'll talk to you soon.
Take care, Charles. Thank you, guys. Be well.
Okay, Doc.
Wow.
Got you fixed up? Yes, sir.
Hey, man. God bless you, Charles. I mean that.
Yeah.
Hey, good stuff.
All right. We working. So I know you got to go. I
started reading this last night again, reread it.
Yeah.
I got so stirred up.
Yes. I mean,
it was a blindside. Charles, man, this is good stuff.
Yeah. This is very important for guys to hear. It's very important for the mothers of sons to hear as well, because it forces people to really think about, or sorry, not forces, but it gives them, it really is a
insight.
It's a strong, encouraging tool. Okay. To get people to say, hey, maybe there's a different way that we need to interact for the sake of this child. You know what I'm saying?
And Charles, it's possible. And Charles, we're going to talk about emotional dysfunction, how that all the ripple effect.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
Charles, be well, and I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, Doc. We'll catch up to you. Okay, now.
Take care.